Go ahead and read problem 7-63, hit pause, and then play when you're done. So in this problem, we're completing this flowchart that proves that opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. You may be thinking, didn't we already prove that? We did, and you can see it on our toolkit right here, that opposite angles are congruent. But this problem proves it in another way, and it also gives you a little bit more practice with flowcharts. So I want you to take a moment and try and complete all the missing parts of the flowchart. Now remember, it's not just these missing bubbles, but it's also this justification here and then the final conclusion. So take a second and give it your best shot. Okay, so remember, a flowchart is a series of if-then statements. And so our very top condition, our first if, is given if TU-VW is a parallelogram. Well, our conclusions from that first if have to do with the definition of a parallelogram. So you can see they've already told us TU is parallel to WV by the definition of a parallelogram. And then what else is true by the definition? Well, these other pair of sides are parallel. So let's write that. TW is parallel to UV by the definition of a parallelogram. Okay, now we're wondering what this reason is down here. And so we have our next condition. If those two lines are parallel, then B equals C. So if those two lines are parallel, they're telling us then B equals C, which are angles. Why would those two angles be congruent if those lines are parallel? Take a moment, look back at Chapter 2, Angle Relationships, and then come back when you think you have the reason. All right, our reason below this is if lines are cut by a transversal, then, now we're not going to say alternate interior angles, we're going to say corresponding angles. We're not going to write all of the rest of it just for time's sake, but if you were very complete, you would write this entire statement. If lines are cut by a transversal or parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. Now, what do you think goes in this bubble? If TU is parallel to WV, then which alternate interior angles are congruent? You can see this transversal here, and those are our alternate interior angles. So here we are going to say A equals B. We're almost finished. We now just have our final conclusion that's based on these two conditions. If these two are true, then what must be true? We can see the reason being substitution property. So take a moment, hit pause, and see if you can fill in that last bubble. So by the substitution property, we see that B equals C. So that means wherever I see a B, I can substitute a C. Well, there's another B over here, and so in its place, I'm going to put this C and write my conclusion down here, A equals C, by the substitution property, thus proving opposite angles of a parallelogram are the same. Now, for the closure of this problem, it simply says to add these things that we've identified about rhombi to our toolkit. Well, you've already done that, so you are done with lesson 7.2.2. Great job. Make sure you check in with your teacher, ask any questions you may have, and we look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.